So we're going to spend the rest of this afternoon digging in a little bit more to network action teams and coalitions and some of the work that we do as a network collaboratively. So there's two different segments to this. First, we're going to hear about some of the network action teams and the work that they've been doing. So with those caveats out of the way, I'm very happy we're going to hear from our Climate Workforce Coalition and then Weatherization at Scale and then Thermal Energy Networks. And we will leave a little bit of time, hopefully, to have a little bit of Q&A at the end. So for that Q&A, back to Slido. If you have some questions as these folks are presenting, go ahead and put them on Slido. So Climate Workforce Coalition, the three other co-chairs of that coalition are going to present: Gabrielle Stebbins, Will Schwartz, and Dylan Giambattista. They appear to you as Climate Workforce Coalition past, present, and future. I'm disappointed they didn't wear ghost outfits. But we will start with Gabrielle and then Will.
Oh, great. Climate Workforce Coalition started in 2021. Like a lot of the network action groups, a few different people had a similar idea, which was looking at the level of goals and requirements in statute, and then connecting the dots to, well, do we have all the workers to actually make sure that we have all those heat pumps installed, all those buildings weatherized? A few different folks, including myself and Dylan Giambattista, were connected by Cara to start to look at what are the workforce needs here in Vermont for meeting our climate goals. So since 2021, and I am the ghost of past, we started off with communication and analysis, and then also looking at funding. We started off with, okay, what does climate workforce even mean? Because like a lot of sort of cross-market sectors, there isn't, there might be some folks who are accountants. There might be a very clear role like a solar installer, but then there are also folks that are electricians. Are they a climate worker, or are they just an electrician? So really drilling down to figure out how we were defining the different roles to then zoom out and get a high-level assessment of, if we're looking at X number of heat pumps in the comprehensive energy plan, how many installers do we need for that? So that was one of the things we spent the first year on, really digging into what is the scale of workforce needed. Again, not, any statistician would probably laugh at our results, but our goal was not to be perfect. Our goal was to provide a sense of scale of how far off we were, which is that graph on the right. We were pretty far off. And we also started, in terms of communication and analysis and funding, we worked with Efficiency Vermont to start to explore what a talent pipeline management project might look like. We also, it's not up here because this is an EAN slide, but as network members, many of us coming together, initiated several ideas for what we needed from the legislature to support workforce jobs and training opportunities in the climate arena. At the time, I was a state rep, and sitting behind me was the chair of the House Commerce Committee, so it was really helpful. I would just turn around and be like, how's that bill going? We did a phenomenal amount of work, and frankly, it was a very different day. 2020, 2021, we had ERA dollars, we had COVID dollars. The challenge on the House floor and the Senate floor wasn't so much how do we pay for this? It was, what is the vision of the policy? What are our values? Which was why the workforce conversation was really great, because who doesn't want to grow good paying jobs that don't necessarily require a PhD here in Vermont? So it was really wonderful to sort of work across the aisle with all different folks to advance so many of the initiatives that the network member teams of the Climate Workforce Coalition supported. EAN did not. In terms of employee-centered work, we, mostly Cara, researched and wrote the Climate Workforce Community Feedback and Findings Report, a lot of looking at grant dollars, going out and interviewing folks. What's stopping you from thinking about working in this area. Sometimes it was childcare, sometimes it was, frankly, working in an environment that was perhaps hostile to women. A lot of, not all, but certainly we did hear from some of the surveys that there were folks who would start in a certain area of maybe blower door testing or whatnot, and feel like they weren't quite welcome because of some of the jokes that were being said or whatnot. So really dug into, from an employee perspective, what would make these jobs resonate more for you? And if you did get training, how could we keep you there? We developed a bunch of materials for students and college and career navigators and a new information page on My Future Vermont. We also worked as a coalition team to really support the development of the Weatherization Training Center, which you will hear more about from Will. And on the employer side, we facilitated some webinars. We also worked with and supported the Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund in developing a business training program. We also initiated a bunch of other opportunities to try and, to what the panel said earlier, try and get some funding for how we communicate about the job opportunities available in these fields. And lo and behold, it's really hard to get people to pay money for marketing. I guess unless you're Coca-Cola. But the number of times we went for grants or federal funding opportunities just didn't quite hit payday for those efforts, but really initiated a lot. And with that, I will pass it to the ghost of the present, Will.